Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be showing you a few tricks to remove noise from your all-in-one water cooling unit. So over the past few years I have seen a lot of people who are buying all-in-one water coolers complain about noise, pump noise, and here I have my H100i, which a lot of people say is very loud and noisy, but there are actually ways that you can make it quieter, and usually it's just taking care of it properly and knowing these few tricks. So I'm making this video specifically for the H100i, but what I'm going to say is also most of it can also be applied to other liquid coolers. So first of all, I'm going to prove to you guys that the H100i is actually really quiet. So here we just have the pump, and I have a power supply here which is hot wired, so we're just connecting this through SATA, and I'm going to turn it on and show you guys how little noise it actually makes. So can you hear this? Yeah, so as you can see, the pump is actually very quiet, and there are several reasons why it can be loud. So the first reason, most commonly, is air inside the loop. So all-in-one liquid coolers will have air inside. It is very difficult to seal it from the factory with absolutely no air. And over time, a bit of liquid evaporates, so after 1 or 2 years, you might have a bit more air than usual. But it can easily be solved, and I'm going to show you what it sounds like when you have air. So we're going to shake this around a little bit, because get the bubbles flowing through. And now, when we turn it on, you'll hear a very different noise. Let's see. So that is the sound of micro bubbles going through the water cooling loop, and that happens just commonly after it's been shipped or moved around a lot. The air will actually circulate through the pump, and that's what makes a lot of the noise. Now, you can easily get rid of this problem just by mounting your radiator vertically in your case like this, and then with the barbs at the top, and then leaving it like this to run for a couple days, and eventually the noise should stop because all the bubbles will accumulate at the top over here. Now, when you have a radiator mounted horizontally in a case, that can become a bit more complicated, because then there isn't like a perfect top part of the loop where the bubbles will accumulate, and that means that they can be continuously running through the pump, making lots of noise. So in my previous case, my 800D, I had it mounted in the top, and what I had to do to remove the noise is tilt the case so that the radiator, instead of being completely flat, was at a bit of an angle like this, and I just propped some books underneath the back of the case, and the radiator was like this. I left it like this for a couple weeks, and eventually the noise stopped, so it was silent. And then I slowly removed the books and carefully put it back flat. So that worked for me. You can try that if you have it mounted horizontally. But the best thing to do is to mount an all-in-one water cooling radiator vertically inside a case, because then it's just natural for the bubbles to go up, and then they'll just get caught at the top. So a lot easier, and yeah. So the next noise problem that a lot of people have is actually not the all-in-one water cooler, but the fans that they are using. So for example, here I have one of the stock H100i fans, and it's not the pump that's loud, but the fans are very loud. So you can see this is already a loud fan, but what makes it extremely loud is when you mount it to something solid. For example, the table. Or something like a radiator. Here, I'll just put it on here quickly. So fans are actually almost all of the noise contribution to an all-in-one water cooler. And if you have cheap fans and they'll make a lot of noise, then that vibration can get passed to your radiator, to your case, and make very loud noises. As you could see when I put the fan down on the table, the vibrations passed to the table and made a lot of noise. So that's what's going to happen to your case. And as you can see, these fans don't have the rubber grommets on them because they are the SP120L fans, which are cheaper. They don't have the rubber that the regular SP120 fans do, so all the vibration goes directly to your radiator, to your case, and makes a ton of noise. So first thing that you should do when you have an H100i or Corsair cooler is replace the fans with something quieter. And I think also some other AiOs will have loud fans, so always keep in mind that not all of the noise is actually from the pump. A lot of it is from the fans. And finally, one last problem, which I've noticed happen to a couple cases. It's very rare, but this is only for the H100i. When you have the stock fans plugged into the pump, they can cause some really weird, loud grinding noises to come from the pump. And I'm not sure why this is or why it happens. It doesn't happen all the time. I've only seen it happen a few times, and it only happened to me like a few years ago when I first bought the cooler. But plugging the stock fans into the fan controller inside the pump made this pump cause a weird grinding noise, and it was definitely not the water cooling pump. It's probably the fan controller inside, or some strange thing happens with the compatibility of the stock fans in this. So yeah, it's a very strange issue. I haven't been able to replicate it anymore, but it did happen like the first few times I was using these fans with H100i. So if you have an H100i and stock fans and you're hearing grinding noises, try replacing the fans, and hopefully that will solve your issue. I haven't had the problem ever again with any other type of fan that I've used. So yeah, it was just a strange thing between these fans and that fan controller. So hopefully this helped you solve some of your noise problems with your all-in-one liquid cooler. So just keep in mind that there could be air going through the loop, your fans could be loud, your fans could have problems running on the fan controller. You can try plugging them into Molex or your motherboard instead, just to test it, or replacing the fans. And finally, if you tested all of that and you're still getting strange grinding noises or whatever, then you may have a defective pump in your all-in-one water cooling unit, and you can always RMA and replace it from the manufacturer. So hopefully this helped you find the problem, and hopefully you don't have to replace it and you can just use one of these tips to make it quieter. But all in all, water coolers are very quiet, and yeah, you just have to make sure that you take care of them properly and that there's no bubbles running through them. One last tip over here, you can see on my radiator I have this rubber gasket over here. You can buy these for all sizes of radiators, and basically they go between the radiator and the fan and reduce vibration between the two. So if your fans don't have rubber grommets on the sides or anything, that can also, this foam pad on the radiator can help reduce some of the noise as well. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, put it in the comments and I'll reply as soon as possible. And hopefully you got your sound problems fixed. So